So did I ever tell you about that time I got a group colonoscopy?
What?
Wait, let me clarify. No, we didn't get it in the same room at the same time holding hands, although that does sound strangely comforting.
Oh my.
But seriously, I got a group of guys I meet with once a month, and we normally talk about our business for a couple hours. Well, a while back, one of the guys in the group told us the story that his uncle got this really aggressive form of colon cancer. I then shared a story of mine of a good friend that died of colon cancer in his 30s. And as we were talking, we did some research and we realized colon cancer is one of the deadliest forms of cancer for men, yet if detected early, it can usually be stopped. Now, the conversation could have stopped there, but one of the guys in the group said, you know what, I'm gonna get an early screening. And what he meant by that is volunteering to have a camera and tube stuck up his ass. Which, hey, if that's your thing, all the more power to you. But I gotta admit, it didn't sound too exciting to me. But here's the deal, all of us guys agreed it was something important to do, and each of us committed to at least setting up an appointment with our doctor. And within 4 months, all of us had been screened for colon cancer. And by the way, 2 of the guys had a lot of suspicious polyps, which they had removed. Now, I like to think of myself as a pretty disciplined guy. 5 years in the Marine Corps as an officer of Marines, well, I felt it was kind of drilled into me. But the reality is, at times, I'm lazy as so one of the best methods I found for being disciplined, group guilt, aka group accountability. When it comes to commitments, most people are more likely to keep a commitment to others than they are to themselves. I know I'm guilty of that. Now, right with that group accountability, set clear, simple goals. In this case, it wasn't getting the procedure performed, it was actually just setting up an appointment with a doctor. I mean, that takes all of 5 to 10 minutes. And if that's too much for you, consider just using the 2-minute rule. So the way this works is once you've identified what you need to do, you start it for 2 minutes. This could be a workout, reading a book, setting up an event in your calendar. Now, the key is getting started, and the 2-minute rule applies if, you get on to set up that appointment and there is a 20-minute wait. Well, at this point, you can abandon the task. But the funny thing is, more often than not, you're gonna continue on, or just simply gonna put them on speaker and get off and do something else, but you've started the task, and that is the key. Giving yourself a little bit of an out just in case it goes sideways. But for the majority of us, once we get started and we realize, okay, it may take a few extra minutes, I'm just gonna get it done, that is key. Now at this point, let's talk about morning routines. And first up, I want to admit that I am not waking up as early as I used to. 5 a.m.? No. 6 a.m.? Sometimes. 7 a.m.? Yeah, it's happening. The reality is my schedule has me staying up a little bit later nowadays. And because I'm committed to getting my sleep, I'm staying in bed a little bit later. Having said all that, I do have a 15-minute lazy man routine. And I started this one because it was based off research that showed if you got at least 5 minutes of movement, 5 minutes of planning, and 5 minutes of reading in the morning, you are much more likely to have a day that you would mark off as successful. And I 100% agree. And if you've got a flexible schedule like I do, I find that 15-minute routine can often extend to a solid hour. That 5-minute workout routinely turns into a 30 to 45-minute workout. That 5 minutes of reading easily stretches to 10 to 20. And that planning, well, because I do it daily, that always sticks to 5. Now, gents, really quick. I'm all about self-discipline, but there are times when a man needs help. One of those times, especially as you start to age, could be in the bedroom. Yeah, we're talking about ED here. Now, gents, if you're dealing with ED, you need to check out today's sponsor, Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks is a new way to treat ED so you can get the spontaneity back. No timers, no mental math, just a fast-acting treatment that lasts longer. And when I'm talking fast, we're talking 15 minutes. Oh, and it also lasts, keeping you ready for up to 36 hours. Now, unlike ED pills, Rose Sparks dissolves under the tongue. This allows them to work faster, basically the meds kick in quicker. It also has a 2-in-1 compounded medication containing the active ingredients in the leading ED treatments. And gents, Ro is 100% online, so you don't have to drive to your doctor or stand in line at the pharmacy. And if prescribed, the medication is delivered right to your door in discreet packaging. Gents, if you're curious if Rose Sparks is right for you, go over to their website, ro.co/rm RS. I'm putting that link in the description of today's video. If you are dealing with ED, go check out today's sponsor, Rose Sparks. Now, what about to-do lists? So, gents, being straight up, I don't like them. I still use them because I find that writing down everything that I need to do is useful just to have it in one place. Now, if I've got 100 things on that list, which a lot of you guys I know have bigger lists than that, some of you guys are saying, that's tiny. I've got like 500 things. Well, here's how you make sense of it. If you've got a huge to-do list, what you want to do is identify what is the 20% that's going to yield you the 80%. That's the Pareto principle, named after the Italian economist that discovered that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people. He then went on, along with other synths, to identify that this 80-20 principle applies to a lot of different fields. In any case, how this applies to you is to understand that when you do things, it isn't always a one-to-one return. There are certain things that if you do them, there's going to be a 5 to 10 times return, versus most things on your list which are giving you less than a one-to-one return. Imagine you're taking a test, there's 100 questions, but the teacher points out out. The first 20 questions account for 80% of your grade, and that first question accounts for 50% of your grade. Those first 4 questions account for 64% of your grade. So knowing that, which questions you're going to make sure you get right for sure? Yeah, that first one, then the next 3, and then the 16 after that, because if that's all you do, but you get them all right, you score an 80%. And that's the point, gents. Think of those 100 things you got on your to-do list. There's only a handful of things on that to-do list that really matter. Identify what those items are, focus your energy there, and then you can safely ignore almost everything else. Next up, I want you to rest hard. That's actually the word combination I now started saying to my family, because the thing is, when you live with a lot of people that depend on you, you're getting pulled, you're getting dragged everywhere. But I've realized I need to take some time off, but it's hard to do that whenever you're in and around other people who have other priorities and are always trying to drag you into other things, even when you're resting, reading a book, catching your breath. So my new response to people, and it's actually been working, is whenever I am resting, I'm catching up on my reading, I'm in a relaxed mode, or people ask me, what am I doing on my day off? I tell them I'm resting hard. Now, the reason I'm saying it, which I think a lot of you guys already picked up on, is normally we say we work hard. Well, guess what? I want to give rest the same type of priority because I do think it's really important. In fact, I'm not the only person. There's tons of research that shows once you work past 50 hours a week, your ability to focus, to concentrate, to be effective really starts to drop off. And I know personally, if I don't take time to unplug in the week, I become much more irritable. I'm less effective when I am working. And yeah, I'm just not a fun guy to be around. So to improve your discipline, make sure to get the rest you need. Now, this next one is called habit stacking. I heard one of those productivity gurus talk about this, but the first time I saw this was actually in the Marine Corps. You see, I lived off base, had a house with a number of other Marines, and one of the guys I was living with, he installed a pull-up bar right in the back door. Now, the unspoken rule was every time you went through that door, you should knock out a set of pull-ups, which if we were having a party out there, started getting pretty amusing, a little bit competitive. But here's the thing, you can habit stack anything. You want to listen to your favorite podcast? Well, stack that with going out for a walk. Getting back to doors, I know a productivity coach that every time he walks through a door, he's got a mantra that he says to himself. Now, apparently he's got quite a few of them, but one of them is whenever he enters his door to come home, it's about being fully present for his family. And apparently when he's going the opposite way out the door, he's got another mantra about being his best self for those he's about to meet. The idea here is you've already got habits, so find something that you can tie with it that's positive, which starts to push you in the right direction. Now, building off that habit stacking, don't forget to reward yourself. So my wife and I, we've got this mountain near us called Rib Mountain over near Wausau, Wisconsin, and it's a bit of a hike. It's a good 8 miles up and down going through all the trails. Now, we go about once a week, and I have to admit, I really don't like it, at least in the mornings. After I'm done, I just love it. But what gets me to go, besides, trying to be a good husband to my wife, is that I know we're going to go to Starbucks afterwards. I'm going to get a fancy coffee, and I'm going to get that bacon Gouda sandwich. Does anyone else just love this? I don't know what it is. That combination is just magical. But here's the thing. It's that reward which gets me, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go through this. And I find that so many guys, they don't think to reward themselves. So I had a guy that he bought a watch the other day, but he had it actually in the corner of his desk. And it was till he actually hit certain goals in his business that he had to sit and look at that watch that sat there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can gamify this. And that's really what you're doing. You're just setting up a reward that you can see is there, and you get to indulge upon it upon completing the task. Now, on the point of gamification, let's talk about measurement. So anytime I go for that walk, I make sure to take my Apple Watch with me. I know a Fitbit could do it, but I just use the tracker so I can not only track the distance, but the number of steps and how many calories I burn. As many of you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the Oura Ring. What I love here, again, I'm tracking my steps anytime I go for a walk. But what I find is when I measure it, I get competitive with myself. I want to see, okay, can I keep this streak going? Can I have 7 days in a row that I meet my fitness goals? In fact, there have been many evenings I've been close, and because I was close, I'm like, you know what? I just got to go for a walk with my wife. So that's what we do. We go out, walk 2 miles, boom, I hit my fitness goals for the day. It just goes to show that old saying, what's measured can be improved. Now, what about discouragement? How do you stay self-disciplined whenever you're putting in the work, but you're not seeing the results? Well, that's the problem. You're measuring the results, which you have less control over, versus the input. In business, we call these lead and lag indicators. If you can imagine, lead indicators are actions that are fully under your control. So in the case of exercising, you going for a 3-mile walk or a 2-mile run, that's actually something within your control, assuming you're healthy. Now, the lag indicator that you may want to see is losing weight or gaining muscle. Well, that's a little bit more out of your control. So what I encourage you here is to actually measure the work that you're doing and less so the results. Results do matter, but 100% tying them to how you feel, that is a recipe for disaster. With that being said, gents, don't stop here. Come on, I got another video for you right here. Check it out. Oh yeah, you're going to love it. Boom, click there. Go check it out. Solid video. Come on. You're here. You're still, why are you still here? Click the video right there.